Hello everybody, this is Michelle Fox and welcome back to The Simple Quilter. Today I'm going to be sharing with you some ideas on how you can quilt and get more done when you're working in your quilt room. Or maybe you can think about it in ways to work smarter and not harder. The first thing I want to talk about are distractions, and you really need to limit your distractions. Now for me, the TV is a big distraction. Now I know a lot of people can multitask, but that absolutely is not me. If I really want to get something done, I have to turn off the TV. And I also will need to turn off other devices such as my iPhone or my iPad, because I find myself answering any call that comes in or constantly looking at my iPhone. So if you really want to get more stuff done in your quilt room, you really are going to have to limit your distractions. The second thing I try to do in my quilt room, if I really want to spend time being productive, and that is to clean up my space. Now, I'm not saying you have to do a major overhaul or spend hours cleaning your quilt room. I simply, for me, I have to have a clean workspace. So just prior to this video, I took 30 minutes to straighten up my quilt room. I set my timer, and in 30 minutes I put things away, I straightened things up, and that got me ready and set for doing lots of things in my quilt room that I need to get done today. Now, cleaning up your quilt room creates order. It helps, for me, it helps reduce my stress, because when I try to work in a chaotic work environment or an environment that's really messy, it really does stress me out, and it kind of like derails my train of thought. So I always have to have a fairly clean area in which to work. Now, another thing that I really like to do if I'm trying to get things done and I'm in a real time crunch, and that is to make a to-do list. I really stand a much better chance of getting things completed if I have a to-do list. It helps motivate me, it creates order, it makes me accountable, and then when I go to check off something on my to-do list, it just makes me feel really good. I wanted to show you a couple of my favorite to-do lists that I use. Now this one is another Lori Holt product, and I just think she's so creative, and I just really like the products that she puts out. But you can use one like this, or this is one that I just developed myself, and I like this one because I can assign the date and then I can put the date completed. But for like example, the things I needed to do today, I can simply just write those on this short list and get those done. Now when I make a to-do list to get things done where I really need to focus, I try to keep it fairly short. I try to put things on there that I know I can accomplish in that time frame. So basically I'm breaking down bigger tasks into smaller tasks. Now one thing that really does help me when I'm quilting and want to try to get a lot done in a short amount of time, I try to combine or group like tasks. For example, I like to pre-cut my fabrics, or I like to do chain piecing, and I'm going to show you some examples of those things that help me when I'm really trying to get a lot of quilting done in a short amount of time. Okay, so one thing you can do to help speed up your quilting is to cut all of your pieces that you need for the blocks at once. So I've sewn all my strips together at the sewing machine, and then I'm going to cut them, and I'm going to show you. This is a little speed technique you can try to use. This is a speed technique you can use. So I'm cutting 3-inch units. So I'm laying my ruler down, I'm lining it up, I put it at 21, so I should be able to get at least 7 units here. I did my first cut at 21, then I'm going to move it 3 inches, make my second cut, gonna move it back to 15, then 12, and this saves time because you're not having to reposition your fabric every time you make a cut. You just have to slide your ruler back. Then, when I go to pick these up, I don't just toss them in a pile. I stack them up neatly. So this way, I don't have to handle these twice to straighten them up once I get ready to sew my blocks together. Okay, the next thing I can do in this process of making several blocks at once, I can pin all of the pieces together at once. And I'll just keep doing that until all of my pieces are stacked up. I might even have other things I need to sew, and I can pin those and stack those up. Now another thing you can do in bulk is chain piece. We're just going to run these through here. I have my stack. Usually I have an even larger stack than this. And you're just going to keep sewing, of course, until you have a really long chain of pieced units. So, and to help save time, here's my long chain of piecing. Instead of picking up scissors and cutting in, I'm just going to cut and stack them as I go. Just like that. Then I'll just take my big stack to the ironing board and I'll press them all at once. So here you can see I just have my blocks, and usually I would have a lot more than this, but this is just for demonstration purposes. And you're just going to do all your pressing at once. Another thing you can do to help speed up and make your time more efficient in your quilt room and while you're quilting or sewing, and that is to load more than one bobbin at a time. Now, preloading your bobbins are going to save time because you're not going to have to keep unthreading and rethreading your machine each time. Wind several bobbins all at once, just to help save time on your quilt projects. So you can have several bobbins ready to go. The last idea I wanted to share with you was to use tools that help speed up the process. For example, you saw me use the little cutter, the triangular cutter, for cutting apart chained pieced units. That helps speed up things. Using specialty rulers like the Log Cabin Trim Tool 2 ruler, it really speeds up making log cabin blocks, the Flying Geese block lock rulers come in a variety of sizes, and these help speed up the process in making flying geese units. Using half square triangle paper to make half square triangles help speed up piecing. Sometimes I'll buy 2 of a product just so I can do a little bit more at once. Like I actually have 3 clappers so I can put several pieces under these. Another important thing is when you do use your tools, make sure they're sharp. I've talked before about changing that rotary cutter blade, so be sure those are sharp. That does help speed things up. And then just a simple sticky roller can help clean up things. Instead of picking the little pieces up off your mat, use a sticky roller instead of cleaning up strings off your work surface by your sewing machine. Just use your sticky roller. Using a sticky roller to clean off your design board is another, your design wall is another way to help speed up the quilting process. So if you have a tip on how to speed up the quilt process or how to work smarter and not harder in your quilt room, please leave those in the comments below. If you've enjoyed today's video, please hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't, please share with a friend, and as always, leave a comment. I love to get the comments and I try to reply to each and every one. So until next time, have fun quilting.